Hello and welcome to BFI today. I'm Levi Rabus and I'm joined here with...
And I'm Rory, aka Artom.
And we've got a good slate of games here today. We're going to start out with Purdue versus Purdue-Fort Wayne. And just a little backstory, Purdue-Fort Wayne was the third seed in their group. And, they ended up coming to winning qualifiers to get here. And they were not expected to be here, but they're against a very strong Purdue team. So how about you tell us a little bit about what you expect to see today?
Well, I'm just expecting to see I'm thinking Purdue's kind of a bit more favored going into this, and I'm really expecting just some of your more standard picks here, right? You got the Oriana, you got the Zaya, you get your Jarvan. I don't really feel like there's a lot of room at this stage where you want to get too creative, maybe too different. So I'm overall just kind of expecting this really standard kind of gameplay here. I think Purdue just has such a strong advantage coming in that I don't feel like you want to be too inventive, if that makes sense at all.
Yeah, rank-wise, Purdue's definitely favored big time. But you never know with LAN events, obviously. People might show up on the day. It's a team
environment, yeah.
Yeah, somebody shows up. Anything can happen on LAN, but definitely Purdue favored. And in the best of one setting, you don't want to get too creative in a game like this where you are heavily favored if you are the Purdue side, because you don't want to show anything. You don't want to give like Ball State or Purdue Northwest or IU info for later on. But if you are Purdue-Fort Wayne, I think you got to get real creative. I think you got to try and surprise Purdue, try and cheese a win almost, because you're not expected to win at all.
No, yeah. It's especially when you are in such this disadvantageous kind of position here, as Purdue-Fort Wayne, excuse me. I really feel like getting. Maybe my mind, when people say creative strategies, I kind of think to these sort of like extreme off meta. So maybe you don't want to go that far. No roaming Ivern tops here.
Nope.
But maybe you think you come up with like something just a little cheeky, right? There's always just the 5-man run it down mid or something hilarious like that. But I think it is going to sort of come down to, like you said, it is this team environment. And Purdue Northwest, you have really one shot to make something happen. And going into this, I'm hoping to see something sneaky, like guerrilla warfare almost coming out
like
there.
Like a strong level 1 cheese strategy. You have blitz, you invade, or Nautilus, Olaf, something like that, really strong level 1. But they also don't have side select. So if Purdue picks, let's say they pick blue side, I think you're favored on red side for those like more cheesy strategies. Not cheesy, but counter picks, getting a strong.
Exactly, yeah. Just kind of looking. Red side is sort of that lane where you can just counter pick everything, and if you are not on that red side, if Purdue's just going to see that, then I feel like Purdue, Fort Wayne. That's the moment here where you let that draft creativity show. So I'm not hoping for anything extreme, but I want to see really sort of a really defined identity coming in from Purdue Northwest, because I think that's kind of
Fort Wayne, Purdue versus
Fort Wayne. Excuse me, did I say Northwest? There's so many Purdue's here. I've been losing track all day.
They definitely did well in qualifiers. They are here.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you want to see them come out with a very good strategy, something that they've worked on for a couple weeks leading up to this, because qualifiers were about a month ago or so. So definitely want to see them come out with a strong game plan and execute, because they're going to have to get a lead early, I think, because when you are the lower ranked solo queue team, for example, in this type of environment, if you don't get a lead early, you oftentimes are just going to get smashed.
Yeah, win lane, win game. That's the old adage here. And I really do think that I feel like I've been running on a broken record at this point, but it really is just going to come down to this important draft. And, Purdue-Fort Wayne has had this opportunity, right? Like you said, qualifiers were some time ago. So Purdue-Fort Wayne does have this opportunity. They know at least how Purdue maybe wants to approach things. They can formulate very specific strategies for this, because you can't just kind of hope for a good holistic game of League of Legends here. You're going to kind of have to get down, get dirty, just play against these very specific weaknesses against Purdue in this situation.
Yeah, but the other side of that coin is maybe they come in with a full scaling strategy, and they're like, we're going to turtle. We're going to play like KT, where we're not going to do anything for 40 minutes, and we're just going to hope we outscale you, and we can hope to keep the game at least playable. We might give up a couple towers, we might give up all 4 dragons. If it's a bad soul, we're not going to contest it. Like, let's say it's like Mountain Soul, and they're not a good mountain team. We're not going to contest it, and maybe that's what they do. They come out with, like Oriana, Zeri, Lulu, some very strong scalers, and try and play that way. So I'm excited to see what they end up deciding on here.
Yeah, but of course, then you want to go for this turtle strategy, but there's a really big problem there. It's the fact that if you start maybe making a little too many mistakes while turtling, you don't have time to scale anymore, because Purdue here is just marching down your lane. Maybe you lose one too many towers, and all of a sudden Purdue just has this map-wide dominance that you can't do anything. You're still trying to scale up here. Again, I'm really excited for this draft. It's just because of such this disparity here. You don't have, at least solo queue-wise, you don't seem to have a stronger team on paper. It really is going to come down to this sort of flexibility in draft, and maybe they turtle, maybe we just make this sort of comp that is just going to feed our one carry here. But I really want to see this draft, because I feel like in this game in particular, draft is just going to be so much more important than usual.
Yeah, and also with that, we're on a new patch that nobody's played on. There's no pro play being played on this patch, so it all comes down to what all these teams value, and there's internal scrims. I've been out of the comp scene this year, so I'm not playing in these scrims, so I have no idea what to expect other than what I see in my solo queue games. So I expect to maybe see some Cassante, since he's extremely broken, some Oriana, some Syndra, stuff like that. So like you said, it's all going to come down to this draft to really tell us what we're expecting, and we're hopping into it right here. And as we can already see, we have some Draven, Nocturne, Aatrox band here for, I believe Purdue is on the left side. No, I think that's Purdue Northwest on the left side, and Purdue is on right side. They are going to go for that strong Oriana-Jarvan combo.
And I really do like the Oriana Jarvan here. Like you said, that's just a really strong, solid pick. And we are going to, from Purdue, for Purdue Fort Wayne here, that's going to come down to this Xayah, this Rakan. That's always that really classic bot lane pairing, and just going for that flex pick in the Sejuani. So far, this feels just like pretty standard, pretty open draft so far, especially with Sejuani, right? You can put it in the top lane if you really need to, maybe not ideal. You've got that jungle flex coming out. We are going to be seeing the Ashe locked in for Purdue side here, along with the Renekton ban coming out. So just trying to narrow down that top lane pool. You've already decided your bot lane and your jungle here as Purdue Fort Wayne. So now maybe you want to start looking at things that are going to be enabling the Xayah, I feel, is going to be really, really important. You already have just such a ridiculous amount of peel on Xayah, an already slippery character already.
Yeah, I don't really understand the Sylas ban very much unless Purdue Fort Wayne over here is looking for a Malphite pick, because the other team's already locked in their mid laner. But right here, I expect either just counter support, get your top laner a strong counter pick, unless you want to go for a power pick like Jackson. The Lissandra support coming out, for sure, that's a good counter into Rakan. We've seen it played by Mickey in pro play. I did not expect to see it at all today, but that's a very strong champ, and I actually really like it here.
I think this is a really strong response to that bot lane. It's honestly a pretty solid response to this Sejuani as well. You just have so much counter engage potential in this bot lane, and of course the team fighting from Lissandra is just downright nasty. In fact, I really, really like this sort of team fighting that we're going to be seeing from this Jarvan, this Ashe, this Oriana, this Lissandra. There's just so much lockdown that you have available to you in this comp. And sure, there's a counter engage here in the Sejuani, in the Rakan, but it is already going to be making things really, really hard, especially for these more immobile picks like the Alawi and the Victor here.
Yeah, the Alawi does not make very much sense to me at all. I mean, you're already seeing three really good, strong kiting champs in Oriana, Ashe, and Lissandra, and Jarvan's not really going to stay on you. He might ult on you and then EQ away, so I don't really love the Alawi, but I'm sure it's a very strong comfort pick there for Moose Fam. So, I mean, he blind picked it, so he's gotta like it. He's gotta like the champ.
Blind picking Alawi is definitely an adventurous choice if you don't have some amount of confidence into that champion. Overall, I do happen to like Purdue Fort Wayne's draft here just a bit more. I like the team fighting potential here. I like all this lockdown you have, and I just feel like the Alawi is going to struggle into that so much.
So we like the Purdue team with the Jarvan Oriana.
Yes.
Yes, Purdue was the Jarvan Oriana. They were on the right side.
We are going to get the Purdue right one of these days.
There's a lot of Purdues. There's a lot of Purdues. But yes, I definitely favor the Jarvan, Oriana, Ashe, Lissandra. Just that bottom four is very, very strong. Because you have a strong counter bot lane, and you're going to have push the entire time. There's no way Rakan are going to outpush Ashe, Lissandra.
No.
And whenever Rakan ever tries to do anything in that lane, he's just going to get Lissandra W'd and rooted, and they're going to lose that 2v2 every single time. So they're going to have perma push. They're going to be able to play for Dragon a lot. And this Orianna-Victor matchup, it only really favors Victor later in the game. And Victor almost feels like he is going to go first strike this lane, and if Orianna has, Scorch Airy, she's going to dominate that lane phase, and it's going to just be pure bot side control there for Purdue.
This really feels like the game plan coming out from Purdue is going to be just going for these dragons, especially because Alawi, I feel like, in this draft just doesn't make much sense. Anytime Alawi's going to try to do something, there's just so many responses that Purdue just has to that Alawi. It's like, I mean, our top side already, we just kind of control this so hard already, and our bot side is just completely on lockdown. It just feels like draft-wise, Purdue Fort Wayne is just going to really struggle into this. I don't like their immobile picks. I feel like the Victor is a solid pick in general, but is just going to struggle into this draft. Alawi, I really hope it's just a strong comfort pick that you're able to pilot in these sort of situations, because otherwise it just kind of feels like you're throwing top lane to the wolves here.
Yeah, I think they have a really strong draft other than Alawi. Again, like we were talking about, that strong scaling. They have probably the best duo bot lane in the game, but they are countered pretty heavily by Lissandra Ashe right now. But the Alawi just doesn't feel right, unless you get really far ahead and you split push, or your team's winning the 4v4 on the other side and you can keep Mordekaiser away from that fight the whole time, and then you are countered by Mordekaiser in the 1v1. It's just, unless he's very confident, which he's got to be to blind pick, as we've talked about, it's just going to be very hard. But the matchup I definitely want to see this game is going to be that bot lane. I think the bot lane is going to determine a lot, because Ashe is going to get a lot of plates. They should be able to get the first couple dragons, move around. But like we said, if this Purdue Fort Wayne team gets hot and they start feeling the land environment, and Purdue, for example, they start losing that momentum, it's very hard to get back in land. So I'm looking forward to seeing what these teams do.
Yeah, Purdue looking to just establish a really strong tempo here, kind of coming out the gate. Like we said, we keep talking about this draft. It just feels all this lockdown is just kind of making a really strong statement here, saying we know what you're trying to do, and here we are going to just stop it and roll all over you. So Purdue Fort Wayne is really going to have to make it work. I do agree that bot lane matchup is going to be so crucial, not just for the game state, but I really feel like for just kind of getting into the rhythm of things. If you, as Rakan, can just sort of stomp all over this Ashe Lissandra, well then, all of a sudden that's gonna feel good, right?
Yeah.
But it just seems like such a tall order, and with this rank disparity already, it really just doesn't look super good for Purdue Fort Wayne coming into this.
I completely agree. But also, I mean, we could say that, look, worry about bot lane, worry about top, and worry about like mid-jungle duo. But this mid-jungle duo is also could be pretty spicy. You have two immobile mages versus two strong, heavy ganking junglers. And we are jumping into game right away. And let's just take a quick look at any of the rune choices. So yeah, it is the first strike, and it is the Airy Orianna. So this mid lane is going to be pretty volatile, actually, because Ori has a lot of pressure in these early levels.
Yeah, I do like that Airy pick. We are going to see the Aftershock picked by Raven here as well. So going for a more maybe tanky kind of lockdown style here. And overall, I've been hyping up the laning phase for Purdue. I think the laning phase just looks really good so far. I really think that Purdue Fort Wayne here, like we talked about, we want to see something creative. It looks like a pretty standard coming out from both these teams so far, just kind of waiting to spot somebody, maybe get some extra vision down. And I think as Purdue Fort Wayne, you really just almost from the get-go, I feel, want to be trying to make something happen. Obviously, you're not going to want to int into this team for it, but even something just cheeky, just a little fight here, I think could go a long way into trying to establish some kind of advantage for Purdue Fort Wayne.
Yeah, if I was the Rakan, I would have really liked to get that, bot lane ward in the middle of the lanes and get back and get sweeper. So, you can try and get some control over that bot lane in this melee versus range matchup. But if you really are just playing Turtle, because you do have Exhaust and Cleanse, it's best to keep both these wards. And they do, in theory, outscale them. It just takes a while, but there's still a lot of play for Purdue's side. So in these early levels, it is going to be just up to what they choose to do if they choose to scale. But I think it's just going to be a... Oh, we are seeing an invade here. They're from Purdue.
Very late invade.
And Purdue Fort Wayne has no idea, so this is just going to mess up Sejuani's clear massively.
This is actually really, really huge for Purdue. Don't know if they managed to spot any of Purdue Northwest here on that initial jungle spot out here, but they're just going to be Purdue Fort Wayne, excuse me, going to just be spotting that out really, really quickly. And there's no counterplay. They just simply are unaware of where Purdue has been on the map, and that's already a really bad start here for Purdue Fort Wayne.
This is one of those moments where we are going to see the level of play that Purdue Fort Wayne has, because it is a solo queue thing, but their bot lane knows that the Purdue bot lane came through their try, meaning their red is gone because they invaded. We need a little bit of intuition here from Sejuani to either invade topside or to go to Jarvan's blue and threaten him there, but they have no push in any of these lanes. Oh, it ended up being Fiora. They did not lock in the Mordekaiser, so that's my fault. But now they have just so much pressure in all of these lanes for Purdue that you have 3 winning lanes. Your jungler just took Sejuani's bot side, and they have no idea about it.
Yeah, no, Jinsu here just going to be full clearing, walking into that camp to see nothing. This is such a bad start. This might even just be a quick first blood for Bashini here. And in fact, that will be the Fiora taking it down. That Alawi really just super, super handily. This is just a catastrophic start at this point for Purdue Fort Wayne, and they just don't have a response. Your jungler is already behind. Your lanes are currently pushed in. They just don't have control, and now your top laner has died and is forced to burn the teleport just to come back and try and stay even.
Yeah, Bushini said, you're not allowed to blind pick Alawi into me. I'm going to pick Fiora, I'm going to pick the counter, and I'm going to dominate this early game. And that's exactly what he did. He had super strong lane control on the first couple waves, got the shove in, got the semi-dive. You know, he took a tower shot in it. It wasn't a full dive, but, you know, free first blood. And this is what we want to see from Purdue with these lanes. You know, you have 3 very strong early game lanes. You want to have this advantage. And Sejuani didn't end up getting any of her bot sides, was not able to invade, and I think she's going to get this scuttle, which is nice. She might be able to double scuttle since Jarvan did this very weird 3-quadrant clear to cover his own top side. And there were no wards down from Purdue Fort Wayne to know that at all, and we're just, again, going to keep seeing this heavy trading in mid as well.
Yeah, it's just so difficult for Purdue Fort Wayne here. That it really feels like, honestly, style points at that point. Eugene, the Jarvan from Purdue, just going on this kind of goofy clear with absolutely 0 punishment. And Musfam is just going to be walking up into this already losing matchup, going to be taken down. Here comes the re-engage, but it's not going to be enough. Washini just going to pick up the kill and disengage. And Tax Evader as well, taking it down Kilroy. This is really, really bad, and I cannot stress that enough. Really, really, really bad for Purdue Fort Wayne here.
Yeah, these solo lanes are putting on a little bit of a masterclass, and this is a little bit where that rank disparity, actually a lot of what that rank disparity comes in. You know, Boshini and Tax Evader are very high-ranked players. They've been playing these matchups probably a ton, and they have a very high proficiency at these champions that they're playing, and they are putting on a show. I mean, I don't think Tax Evader has missed a single CS. He's got 35 at 4.5 before he based.
Yeah, it's really feeling like already that things are kind of spiraling out of control for Purdue Fort Wayne, trying to make a play happen, but that Lysandra into the Rakan Fancy Sword is actually just going to be taken down to half HP for daring to walk up here. And Musfam is just being bullied off their wave entirely, is just going to try and trade back with that Alawi E, but that's a fight that Bashini is more than happy to take, and already just resources are being stifled out of Purdue Fort Wayne's hands here, and there's just not anything they can do about it.
Yeah, it's just going to slowly devolve into a massive gold lead. We're already seeing a 1.5k gold lead in Dragon spawning. I expect Purdue to try and get a reset here on their bot lane with this shove, move Jarvan onto that Dragon, maybe do another reset mid, he probably doesn't have Lost Chapter, but a reset into a TP. And we're also seeing both these mid laners go tier. I don't love the tier on Orianna because I feel like you delay your spike, and Seraph's isn't a great item. Oh, we are seeing another fight here in the top. The ultimate comes down.
The challenge has been issued, and Musfam will actually...
Shut down there for Musfam. Boshini kind of messed that up a little bit. He went a little too deep, and he did not have flash to proc that last vital. But that's huge for Purdue Fort Wayne. A little bit of a shutdown on that Alawi. He's going to be able to get maybe Bramble, maybe an early Ninja Tabbies as well. But we are going to go ahead and see the Dragon here for Purdue. And we could see a fight here because we do have Sejuani in the area and bot push for Purdue Fort Wayne.
That is a nice, quick bonus 150 gold into Mustfam's pocket. That Dragon is being taken down here for Purdue. It doesn't look like there's going to be much of a response. You just don't have the prio. And actually, off screen, we are going to be seeing Kilroy taken down here. Taxivator picking up their second kill of the game. It's a nice shutdown, but you still have a mountain to climb here as Purdue Fort Wayne, and Purdue itself is just already snowballing this lead as hard as they possibly can. It's just not a lot that really Purdue Fort Wayne can do. You can just see this bot lane. Fancy Sword is trying to find any angle possible, but Raven is just there with the counter CC. Again, just nothing you can do. All these resources are just being choked out of Purdue Fort Wayne.
Yeah, and then another solo kill mid just means this Orianna is going to get to her first item very, very quickly. And as we've talked about the Rakan versus Lissandra matchup, it is very obvious that this Purdue bot lane has played this Ashe Lissandra versus Xayah Rakan probably multiple times in scrims, because he is very, very... oh wow, I've completely blanked on the word. He is very practiced on this Lissandra because he is hitting that W every single time, and then they are heavily trading.
Yeah, it really feels like all of Purdue here is just running a well-oiled and efficient machine here. There's not anything that Purdue Fort Wayne has been done to really satisfactorily respond to all of this pressure, all of this tempo. Bashini is just walking into the topside jungle, and there's just simply nothing Jinsu can do here. Jinsu is just going to be forced to back out. Mustfam is here for the rotate. But honestly, I really am confident Bashini can just 1v2 in this scenario, and Bashini is just sticking around, trying to keep that jungler busy. Kilroy super low under tower, and Raven is here to look for a dive. Kilroy gonna have to be very careful, and it's just going to die to Taxivator.
This is a masterclass from mid, and a great roam there from the support, even though if I'm the mid laner, I might be like, I got this solo kill anyways, give me the solo XP, you know what I mean? But good roam there from Raven, and they are just bullying this poor Sejuani too with Fiora's prio, Orianna's prio. There's not really much we can do, and we're already seeing big CS gaps in mid lane and in top lane in these solo picks, or solo lanes, and the counter pick top. And it also feels really bad because Purdue Fort Wayne picked the Victor into the Orianna.
Yeah, it's always gotta hurt when you try and counter something with that pick. And we were going to be seeing Jinsu here trying to get something happening on Taxivator, but Jinsu's just going to be taken down. Taxivator taken extremely low. That Victor ult is chasing them, is not going to quite find it. That would have been a huge shutdown. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, you have the engage here. Raven is going to do their best to try and create that disengage. Fancy Ward is taken quite low. The Rakan ult not finding anything. Xayah ulting to safety. The heal coming out from Fancy Sword, but so Fancy Sword goes down, and Blahai Cuddler is just going to be autoed to death.
That was so close. A little bit of a nice edge there from the Purdue bot lane, playing on the edge of death that whole time. And it was so close. If that Xayah E would have killed the Lissandra, he might have been able to get Triumph and do something with that Ashe. But man, that was a very close fight. We are seeing another solo kill and a dive up here from the Fiora in this strong counter pick matchup. And the Herald's going down. This is a disaster for Purdue Fort Wayne, seeing a 5K gold deficit at 10 minutes.
And this is best of one. There isn't really an opportunity here for you to say, okay, GG, go next, you know, wipe it off, shake it off, just come back stronger. You really need to be thinking about how you can come back from this really just crushing defeat all around now. And it just, Purdue Fort Wayne just doesn't seem to have the tools or the adaptability to try and make anything happen. They are just going to be shoving this bot lane forward here. And it really just, it feels like that at this point that Purdue is just playing with their food almost.
Yeah, at this point, if you're Purdue Fort Wayne, you have to start cheating. You have to start playing games that aren't really real League of Legends. You know, you have to make weird dives. You have to drop waves to try and make a play happen. But we are seeing Lissandra make another dive with that Glacial Prison onto this flashless Victor under tower. Just another nice roam there from the support. And it's just another kill in Orianna's pocket. She's 5-0 in 10 minutes, is going to be able to easily carry this game. But as I was saying, if you're Purdue Fort Wayne, you got to start cheating. You got to start dropping waves to make a play, try and get a shutdown. You have to move a bunch of people up here to try and kill this Orianna when she has no flash. You have to try and make a play. Otherwise, you're going to keep bleeding.
Exactly, and death of 1,000 cuts is looking like it for a decent win con here for Purdue. They are sitting on so many items compared to Purdue Fort Wayne here. You have that Gore Drinker from the Fiora already, the Leandri's Anguish, excuse me, from that Orianna already. You have the Kraken Slayer on the Ashe already. Nobody on Purdue Fort Wayne has completed a single item. They are still sitting on components. We're watching these trades happen, and Purdue Fort Wayne is just unable to really convert anything into anything. There just appears to be no advantages. This Drake is up, and I'm fully confident Purdue is just going to take it. Here we have the engage onto Raven, maybe looking for a shutdown, but Eugene is going to be re-engaging here. It is a 2v3. Raven is charmed. Yeah, T1 going to be coming in here with that Ashe ult, and the Jarvan ult is going to be coming down as well, and it is looking a little close at one point, but now it is just a crushing team fight victory here for Purdue, or more of a skirmish rather. They're still the top laners up there.
Yeah, Purdue Fort Wayne, you know, they had a pick, but they're just so far behind. They don't have items. They don't have any gold. If this was more of an even game and you get that 2v3, you're in a much better position to probably win that, get 1 or 2, get out. But as soon as the Orianna started moving down and the Ashe came from the other side, it just was over. Absolutely over. They're going to go ahead and get another dragon here and another solo kill in the top lane there for the Fiora. These solo laners are putting on a show.
Bashini going to be popping that grand challenge and just gunning it down Musfam off screen. These towers are looking mighty low in the solo lanes as another plating will be given to Bashini. And we have Purdue sitting on 2 Drakes, sitting on so much gold, so many tower platings. Everybody's got an item. Taxivator's just going to casually take down Kilroy without even looking backwards. Still not a single completed item from Purdue Fort Wayne. It feels like an impossibility at this point for Purdue Fort Wayne to come back in any form.
Yeah, that's a big wave there crashing for the Ashe too. And these, I've said it multiple times, these solo laners are putting on a show. Look at the CS gap. They're both about 70 CS above their lane opponents. This gold lead is probably 3K of it just from this CS gaps.
Yeah, farming is king in League of Legends, as are kills. That Ashe ult going to be coming out. Fancy Sword is going to be forced to W away just to try and cling onto any form of HP that they can. Is barely going to survive, but the rest of Purdue's bot lane is going to be forcing Fancy Sword even farther back. Fancy Sword going to be staying here. This is a really dangerous proposition. If there was a bigger minion wave, I'm pretty sure that would be a dead Rakan on the side of Purdue Fort Wayne. Ultimately just going to disengage. The turret plating has finally fallen. Purdue can no longer quite bully that gold advantage nearly as hard as they'd like, but at this point, it's who cares if you're Purdue? You're already so far ahead as that first turret does go down.
You get mid and top turret, and the bot tower is probably going to fall eventually soon. I imagine the Fiora will trade lanes, and they get another kill there in the top lane. I imagine the Fiora will trade lanes with this bot lane or just keep pressuring this tier 2, but the whole map is a disaster. You were down 10K at 14 minutes. If you're Purdue Fort Wayne, you've got to start thinking about your next series. I mean, it's not on another solo kill there for Taxivator. It is just a master class here for Purdue.
Yep, that really complete and utter domination in every single lane, every single role. And we are going to be... sorry, there was a bit of a brief error there. We are going to be seeing Galiusi here down in the bot lane, maybe looking to get yet another kill onto Bohai Cuddler here. But again, I said it earlier, but now it really does feel like Purdue is just playing with their food. They have so much map agency. They have such an item lead. There's just... Purdue Fort Wayne just doesn't have the stats to make anything happen. They're barely sitting on any complete, and still on no completed items, actually, now that I look at the inventory. And it's already 15 minutes into the game. There's just nothing that they can do. Like you said, might be time to think about the next series, reflect on maybe how things could have gone so wrong so fast.
Yeah, and you know, this is kind of expected. You are the big underdogs in this series coming up against a very strong Purdue team, but you never want to have a 12K gold lead at 15 minutes. It's almost extremely demoralizing, and there's in a game of League, there is no way you're coming back from this, especially with these two comps. It is very much, this game is very much just a waiting game now for the Nexus explosion. You just got to try your best, and unless you find a way to cheat the game, like I said, and find Orianna shutdown and all these shutdowns in ways that are not actually realistic League of Legends, it's just like playing very random, sporadic gameplay, you're not going to find a way back into this game.
If I'm Purdue Fort Wayne at this point, what I'm looking for is maybe just testing something. You know, that maybe that kind of silly idea you had in the scrim 2 or 3 days ago. Maybe this is a time to try that. Just see if you could theoretically pull it off. Because like you said, there's really just no coming back from this. There's just not a lot you can do. Rift Herald has already been taken by Purdue as well. Eugene just sitting here with it, menacingly waiting to take down that mid tower. Again, if I'm Purdue Fort Wayne, I'm just maybe trying to test things out, limit test, because at this point, there's just not a lot to be done. That Dragon is coming up in less than a minute. That Rift Herald is going to be dropped mid. Here it comes, and this is the beginning of the end as Purdue starts taking down this mid lane tower.
Yeah, tier 2 mid opens up the map. We are going to see the Glacial Prison go down there. And, oh, huge shockwave there from Tax Evader. That pulled 3 in. They're all going to get chased down by this Ashe with the Ghost of the Jarvan. Hits the Cataclysm on everyone. Just a huge team fight there play. Oh, huge fight. Wow, that was sick there from Tax Evader and Eugene.
And that is the style points you need to end the game. Tax Evader, great shockwave there as Purdue marches their way to the Nexus. We may even get to see that Rift Herald dance if they can kill it fast enough. It is sitting at 6 HP, and there we have it. We get to see Shelly dance to conclude the first game of the Battle for Indiana. Victory going to Purdue.
A 17-minute win is very impressive.
It's a statement.
I understand there's a rank difference. It's very demoralizing there for Purdue Fort Wayne, but that is exactly what you want to do if you're Purdue. You want to set the tone. You want to say, we are here to win this whole event. And, you know, we're middle of the pack based off qualifiers, but we came out and we showed we are dominant when we need to be dominant. They played a great game. This team is going to try their best to take this trophy home at the end of the day.
And they've certainly shown that they can do that with a really, really strong draft, with just a really strong laning phase all around. They really seemed like they were communicating. The rotations were there. The roams were there. Raven had several great roams into mid as Lysandra that Purdue Fort Wayne was just completely unprepared for. It really just felt like the communication was there, the individual skill was there, that coordination was there. These not only felt like great players, but they felt like a great team. And I really feel like that's what made all the difference. Yeah, all around, everyone played really well, and they were one death away from a perfect game as well, because the dive there from Fiora that he kind of messed up did not, that ruined their perfect game because they had it right there. I will say, if I had to give an MVP this game, it goes to Tax Evader in the mid lane. 3 solo kills, massive CS lead, permanent pressure. Everyone on that team played great, but Tax Evader really showed the strength of this Orianna pick, and I expect to see it a lot more today. Yeah, I would love to see more Tax Evader Orianna. Maybe not. It probably won't be quite as smashing a lane victory there as it was, particularly this one, especially once you start hitting up those harder to hit teams. But like you said, Purdue has shown that they're not here to play. You know, maybe we're not the greatest in terms of qualifiers. We're not sitting at the top of the pack. But just because we're not coming into this maybe being considered the best of the best, we're certainly showing that we're taking this seriously, and we have that teamwork, we have that grit, and we definitely have that ability to sit here and take on the best of the best once we start facing them. And I'm really excited to see how that plays out throughout the rest of this LAN. Yeah, and the beauty of LAN event is it's the best team on the day wins. It might not be the 5 challengers that win. It might be the 5 masters because, you know, they're more comfortable, more adaptable to playing on a new setting, new setup. That's a lot of what happens a lot of the time. So it's exciting to see what we're going to have. And we are going to have an interview here in a minute. And before we go to that interview, I just want to say congrats to Purdue for that first win. And if you're Purdue Fort Wayne, you got to keep your head held high because you're going to have another game in the loser bracket. I believe they have another round at least. And it's going to be against a team that also lost their first round. So it's going to be a long day, and you know you're fighting an uphill battle, but you got to keep your head up high and try your best here. Yep, this underdog story has not ended just yet. Purdue Fort Wayne. I keep wanting to say Fort West, and I don't know why. You're combining the two. Exactly. There's too many Purdues. Purdue Fort Wayne, not quite securing that first game, but do have a chance here, and I really think they have it in them. Just need to reflect a bit. And once again, congratulations to Purdue here. Great game all around, really making a statement. And I believe we'll be throwing to that interview right now. With that, we'll throw it to Trey with a player from that winning Purdue team.
Thank you, casters. So I'm here with Ryan, who was the mid laner for Purdue in this past game. You guys just came off started the day off with a win. How's that feel?
Well, obviously it felt great. We had good laning all around. We have great communication. We get all the early objectives, and yeah, it's just a great clean game.
Awesome. Now, I gotta ask real quick. Your username, did that just was that just a random thing, or was that any thought behind that, or?
There wasn't much thought behind that. So we had a phase where our friends were just attaching random 2-letter phrases and two numbers behind it. We had quarterfinal 44. I think he was in Battle for India last year. So yeah, just kind of inside joke between friends.
Nice. All right. Now, let me see. I'm not exactly sure who you played next yet, but do you guys have any plans going into preparing for your next match, moving on in the upper brackets?
So we got a lot of preparations and everything. I can't tell the stage, but we have some spicy fix cooking up. So yeah, and then obviously our next opponents are not gonna be slouches either. So yeah, I think we have to focus to put up a good fight.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, and best of luck with the rest of your games. I'm going to send it back over to the casters or a break.